Midweek matchups at RFK and in Vancouver, a brand new striker for Chivas USA, and the fallout from the Rafa Marquez controversy next on The Daily. Everybody, welcome to another edition of The Daily. Here with Greg Lawless, I'm Nick Furshaw. We're going to start with some midweek games, including a big one down at RFK Stadium on Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You can catch it on MLS Live. DC United at home against the Montreal Impact, the first time ever for the Impact down in the nation's capital. And for DC United, 4 games unbeaten. They're looking good.
Yeah, they are looking good, and they got that big win up in New England against another Eastern Conference rival when Chris Pontius came on in the second half and curled that ball into the corner. His teammate Josh Wolf calling it the meat hook. That's what he called that shot. And Pontius could play a big role tonight against Montreal, whether he gets a start, because DC United playing 3 games in 9 days. They're going to have to rest some people, maybe start to manage that a little bit more from Ben Olsen. Montreal on the other side, they continue to compete. They don't necessarily get the results. They don't get the wins, but they're competing in every game. They've never really been blown out by any team. And they're actually pretty good on the road when they go down there. They make it very difficult. They stay compact. And then if they can release one of their guys up top, if Karate can get forward a little bit more, maybe get a chance in there. But same for them. They might be a little bit tired too. They've played a lot of games recently, so this will be a tough one tonight.
The Impact still seeking their first point on the road, as you mentioned, but they're better than their record leads you to believe. DC United, meanwhile, has struggled traditionally at home, certainly over the last season. This year, they've won just 1 of 3 games at home. That game again, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You can catch it on MLS Live. Another big game on Wednesday night. It should be a good one out in Vancouver. The Whitecaps at home against undefeated and perfect Sporting Kansas City. This is a good one, but it's a tough challenge for Sporting Kansas City, even though they're unbeaten and they're coming off that win over RSL, to go out west against Vancouver in a midweek game. What do you expect?
Well, this is a Whitecaps team that I think has shown flashes over the first couple of weeks of the season, when everybody said at the beginning of the season, this is a team that could be very, very good, especially going forward. But no, their defense is actually what's made them really good. Up until that game in San Jose when they lost 3-1, their defense was perfect through the season. Now it's a question of, can they get it all back together? Can they start to perform defensively and get that attack going? When is Eric Hasley going to start scoring? That's the biggest question, I think, for Vancouver. On the flip side, Sporting Kansas City, 6-0 on the season, totally perfect. They're going into this game thinking that they can go for 3 points, even on the road, not a problem for them. They're going to have to get some rest and bring in some other players. Julio Cesar did not make the trip to Vancouver, so he's definitely going to be out of the midfield. They're going to have to replace him. And then it's a question of, is everybody really healthy after playing so many games? And don't forget, they also have a game on the weekend when they go to Portland. So is Peter Vermees going to manage this a little bit, considering it's a 2-game stretch? You
have to assume that Real Salt Lake game over the weekend took a toll on those guys. It was a very big game. 10 p.m. Eastern, you can catch it on MLS Live up there in Vancouver. Moving down the coast to Los Angeles, where there's some big news for Chivas USA. The Goats have signed Jose Eric Correa, one of the most talented young players down in Colombia. He's going to potentially add some firepower for the Goats. Robin Fraser saying this could be the move that puts us over the hump.
Yeah, a young striker who is right now leading the Colombian League, or has been leading the Colombian League in goals, including 2 this past weekend for his club, Boyacá Chico. And he, because of his form down there, he actually was just called into a special sort of youthful camp by Jose Peckerman, the coach for Colombia. He brings another young, talented striker up top, goes along with Casey Townsend. Don't forget, they also have some veterans up there, Alejandro Moreno, Juan Pablo Angel. This is a player who's got size, he's got finishing ability that I think they really need, because right now, Chivas USA only 4 goals on the season, all of them coming on the road as well. So this is a team that's been struggling to find the back of the net.
Certainly could use some offensive firepower, but they've done well, even with JPA on the bench with some injury issues. But a big pickup nonetheless for Chivas USA. Well, the biggest controversy in MLS this week got a little bit more interesting on Tuesday when we heard from Shea Salinas, the San Jose Earthquakes midfielder, was taken down by Rafa Marquez over the weekend, suffered that broken collarbone. Sounds like he's going to have to go into surgery. He's going to miss some serious time. And then we heard from Eric Soler, the sporting director for the New York Red Bulls, saying, we're going to wait and see on this punishment, potential punishment for Rafa Marquez, see what he gets.
Yeah, but Salinas came out with a very classy move and said, look, I don't know what it was all about. I didn't even feel it when his boot actually connected with his face, because he felt the pain in his shoulder. And he ended up saying, look, I forgive him. I don't know what motivated him, but it doesn't matter. I forgive Marquez for whatever happened. Soler, on the other hand, coming in and saying, look, we're going to have to work with this player a little bit about all of this, because there are I think some issues right now with the reputation of Marquez that is maybe hurting him when he's on the field from his opponents and referees, and that ends up hurting the club. Soler coming out and just saying, keep it simple. Let's work with you on all of this and get through whatever is going on, because Marquez is going to be a very valuable part of this team going forward. We saw it in the beginning of the season when he missed those first couple of games because of the suspension from last year, and he was missed in that midfield. So I think they're going to need him going forward in this season.
You mentioned those comments from Shea Salinas. He also mentioned something interesting that said that Rafa Marquez had been involved in holding some guys in the box earlier in that game, and maybe a warning from the referee might have deterred that situation.
And they had actually said something to the referee about it, and he said the referee didn't do anything.
Yeah, so the controversy definitely there. We're expecting a decision from the disciplinary committee sometime on Wednesday or Thursday. It could be a suspension, might not be. We'll have to wait and see. Well, last but certainly not least, before we get out of here, the weekly top 20 performers for the Castrol Index is out, Greg. A lot of superstars on this list, the ones you'd expect. Chris Wondolowski, Landon Donovan, Kevin Hartman, and those. The winner, though, this week from Week 6, Zach Scott from the Seattle Sounders.
Well, he had a very good game defensively, and that makes a big part of this for him, but also the goal. It's a game-winning goal for him for the Seattle Sounders. So you combine the two because of his strong defensive performance and, of course, the goal. And, yeah, he jumps right up to the weekly top 20.
And two guys from Sporting Kansas City on this list. Aurelien Collen comes in at number 3 after that game winner against Real Salt Lake. And Jimmy Nielsen at number 10. Didn't have a lot of work to do, but Jimmy Nielsen coming in at number 10 this week. You can find that top 20 ratings on MLSsoccer.com, as well as a number of videos, the AT&T Goal of the Week, the Save of the Week, and Power 5, a series where we're looking at some of the best players in the league. This week, it's the best penalty stoppers. You can find that on MLSsoccer.com.